Hey everyone, Escaped Alien here, and today we are going to cover the third Metazoo Monday that occurred on June 16th at 7:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For me though, it was 4:02 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And just like prior Metazoo Mondays, we're going to cover anything that Charlie talks about, Mike Ryan / MGR, any of the artists, and we'll also read out any of the questions that Charlie responded to. So Charlie starts off with, at everyone, Metazoo Monday Community Hour is live. Let's start things off a little differently this week. Give me the best and worst flavor text line you can think of for Gumbaroo. And we have MGR saying, I'm here as well, Charlie, if I'm needed. Alright, so we have some responses here. Immortal Workshop saying, and my axe. Mr. Haunt says, he's gumming for you. Hazelwood, he who smelt it may not have dealt it. Happy Kitty says, I don't actually smell, that was just a joke Mike made in old Metazoo. Gumbaroo, because I want you to suffer, says Cardboard Fatty. TMX says, smells like he tastes, delicious. Walkin' Talkin' Stephen Hawkin says, if you can smell him, it's already too late. Surprisingly tastes much better than he smells. Jay Worry, Gumbaroo, don't let him fart on you. Hey, that rhymes. MGR says, wasn't me. Alright, we got a few of those responses in there. So Hurlocker says, what is the aura type that should absolutely not be added to the game? TMX says Frost. Arbiter 360 comes in with a very controversial take, says Cosmic, at least the way it was previously. As an alien, I must disagree. Will lore ever be printed in a physical SKU, asks Echoes. And MGR responds with, we are discussing the Abraham book as a published book with bonus material once it's done. That's pretty cool. Pokey Sliders said Jello, and Hurlocker says, I don't know, gelatin cryptids sound wild. TMX asks, does MGR stand for Metazoo Grand Redeemer? And MGR says, oh, I like that. Alright, so Hurlocker, cryptid starts working at a night school. Who is the cryptid and what class are they teaching? Don't worry, I'll let you rain questions before the end of the hour. Alright, so let's read some responses to the silly question. James Jam says Space Penguin and Astronomy. Omega says Bigfoot, he teaches science and people call him Mr. Beast. TMX says we already know Jurs D is a science whiz. Jay Worry says Love Done Frogman teach dissection of frogs, that's messed up. EpicTube says Wendigo, how to decorate for Halloween. Shab says Fresno Nightcrawler fashion design, that's cute. Let's see, Mr. Escaped Alien says Squonk, Depression 101. Jay Worry says Sewer Alligator, how to cook pizza. Let's see, MGR says, I don't actually know the answer. Charlie doesn't like me actually and can't speak to me without snarling, so I'm going to guess Squonk, Psych 101. Collector says, Frogman definitely teaching cooking. What else explains the tomato smell? MGR says, Frogman teaches French cuisine. Alright, so we got some of those responses. So now we're going on to another thing that Charlie put out. Alright, let's talk about two products with some quick facts that I think are good to know, and then we can do some open question chatting. FlexDex. Printed and shipping. Distro should be communicating the delays. We are going to update sales sheets to be more clear about street dates, apply to core sets, and estimated ship dates, ancillary SKUs in between. Since I think a lot more than we originally noticed was king in off the B2B sheets intended to communicate info to distros and not necessarily as a B2C communication for the open public. When to expect them. They should be between 1 and 2 weeks late for most domestic cases. International should be on time to 2 weeks delayed. There was a quality control issue, unfortunately, at the last second that was corrected. Had to make the call to get the product right and see a small date bump. Alright, base set. Just wanted to confirm that base set booster box is out of print. There are scheduled SKUs like FlexDex and some other things that I'm not quite ready to spoil that contain packs, especially for opening up international distribution channels and supporting new play across play access in physical stores. So you continue to see some applications, but there will be no more base set printed. So that is pretty interesting. Base set out of print already. Charlie says, alright, let me start touching on some questions here. So it looks like Charlie responded to a question from Omega. Would we have a different holo pattern for set 2? Something like we had on OG Zoo, or is that out of the table? Charlie says, always exploring new patterns. Here are some different considerations that go into it. 1. Does it look good? Prefer aesthetics to just being different for difference sake. 2. Is it available? Lead times on custom foils are significant. 3. Is it tested? Because we have international release, the testing has to be pretty robust for choking and such. 4. Is it cost effective? Boring, but I think it goes without saying that we are not looking to make the ultimate razzle-dazzle rare and then hang up the furniture store going out of sale sign the next day. I think you will continue to see some different appearances over the next few sets on some stuff. Other core staples are here to stay for the foreseeable future. A lot of what things look like isn't just changing out the foils. There are a lot of techniques that can be applied on top to yield different looks. Alright, MGR says, at Steve Collectibles, there's no plan for it at the moment, but is on the table for consideration among something like 23 other lore-related products. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what he was responding to, so let's see. Will the lore stories be made into animation shorts down the line? As someone that's not much of a reader, would love to see them in video format. Okay, so that was the question MGR was responding to. Okay, and then we have Rom asking, has a team ever given thought to a limited format for Zoo 2.0 like draft/sealed, etc.? And Charlie responds with, given thought, a ton of it actually. Especially before the game came out, so many different aspects of the product are impacted by the desire to keep doors open for certain things. I think we are early to be talking about robust, sanctioned environments around alternative formats, but the most played format is always what a group of friends/family do when they get a box at the kitchen table, and we think about that a lot on top of the standard format being developed. Okay, so it looks like Hazelwood had a question that Charlie responded to. How are the people who got thank you packages determined, and how were their addresses obtained? Was there some threshold amount that they needed to be owed from MZ1 before they got one? Hurlocker, I asked mostly for closure on whether mine ended up in someone else's hands or if I just wasn't going to get one. And Charlie responds with, I really wouldn't lose sleep over it. I don't have the exact sources on hand, but there were a few publicly available lists that got incorporated. The thesis on the marketing there was that there are some number of people who have been involved to some degree with Metazoo who may be interested in the new products if they saw them. Hence, high information magazine, cute box, non-exclusive contents. It wasn't about value or creating a crazy collectible ecosystem that people go bananas over. It was about saying, hey, thank you for having been involved in whatever way in the past. Here's a look at what's going on. Really a simple campaign at the most basic level that I think primarily gets overcomplicated by external feelings about Zoo. Some of the impressions will get swallowed by old experience, but statistically, it is most effective to take this cross-section of available addresses and just clue them in that something is happening. You'll get more high-value freebies at a more pointed, intentional activation like a convention. We tried to give out free packs in the spin wheel lines, free stuff on the wheel, promos, etc. Alright, Layered Worlds asks, hey Charlie, will we be seeing Aura chase cards like Possessed Aura or Neutrality Totality Aura in future sets? Charlie responds with, would we gate playable cards in expensive ways? We are actively working to avoid it. Would we innovate in neat ways with Aura? Yeah, totally. Could Aura be a chase? Yes, cosmetically. Which is probably a good way to go, right? It's not a good idea to necessarily lock playable cards behind a rarity. Alright, Collector asks, at Hurlocker, so far exclusive art has been pretty limited to convention promos and alt art box promos. Can you share any insight on when we can expect to see more exclusive special art? Anything you're excited for it to pop up for the first time? And Charlie responds with, exclusive art has been employed in every single SKU and fixed to every single event so far. What we're What were you hoping for that you didn't see? Genuinely curious what activations you're interested in. Okay, so we have a question from EpicTube HD. How's it going, Harley? At Hurlocker probably has been asked in past MMs, but any thought to bringing back the fourth wall? It is what set Metazoo apart from everyone else and made for some fantastic looking events. Alright, and Charlie responds with, I've covered it in interview questions here, etc., but I'm happy to highlight my position a final time. Not opposed to finding unique activations, especially some special events at something like a Gen Con in the future. We are primarily focused on developing the game that we have right now that I think has a ton of room to grow and innovate. I think there were other elements of the events, like theming and site-specific interactions, that could be cool to lean into over time. So it looks like a maybe for fourth walls in the future. Metazoo Keeper asks, will we be getting the full Metazoo experience at Cleveland Collecticon? And Charlie responds with, I believe so. We are transitioning some of the operation elements to be able to more clearly commit out to additional events. Even the way people are interacting is changing a lot. We tripled the demo tables and they are still full, so there will continue to be development there. Alright, Echoes. Box toppers potentially, with a pool of cards, not just a one box topper. You have the box topper set collected. Alright, and Charlie responds with, there won't be a box topper in Torrential Tides, but I've put a lot of work into ideas around developing things like box toppers. I think they make for a neat component, finding ways to make them meaningful and engaging without just blowing out more play assets can be tough. I personally feel like inks never got to be as cool as they could have been. Tell me what are your favorite box topper examples, what your favorite box topper examples are, and why you love them. Jay Worries said eBay token toppers with cryptids, and those were super cool. If you've never seen the eBay token toppers, very dope. Kate said, personally, if you ever do a Fat Pack / Elite Trainer box style product, I'd love to see a bit of lore or concept art in a booklet. I miss getting novels in the MTG ones. Yeah, I agree with Kate. The old Fat Pack boxes for MTG used to have like a little booklet insert with all the cards from the set in it and some lore information. Those were super cool. So if Metazoo ever did a product like that, that would be awesome. So Rom responded to Hurlocker's box topper question. Loved when they introduced box toppers in MTG and Ultimate Masters. Was a cool introduction of alternative frames that eventually they ran way too far with, but would have been really cool as a concept if it was just different styles / arts. Hurlocker says there will be a new SKU exploration for sure. You will see that coming up. Alright, cool. Looking forward to seeing other Metazoo SKUs. Spooky Babe said box toppers were honestly some of the best pieces in Old Zoo. And I agree with that. EpicTube. From a business side, box toppers help move sitting boxes. From a collector's point of view, they help enhance and specialize the collection. We will never stop what a specific card may cause in terms of pricing or availability. It is unpreventable, but at least it becomes more attainable for the masses. I love the box toppers personally. Yeah, so it seems like pretty much everybody, box toppers are the best. Yeah, most of the responses seem to like box toppers, and I agree with that. I'm a big fan of box toppers, so I hope to see Metazoo do that in the future. TMX said, what about box bottomers, like the prize at the bottom of a cereal box? That's right. That's a great suggestion, and I made sure TMX knew it. If Metazoo wants to innovate, you gotta do the box cereal prizes. All right. You Overthink asks, who had the idea for the text-based adventure, and did they get a pay raise? Hurlocker responds with, we will definitely continue to explore this in the future spoiler season, especially for how people can enjoy it for a longer period of time for a given module. Yeah, and the hunt, that was a super cool idea. I really dug that. That was some cool innovation there. Alright, Hurlocker, one thing that I do think is funny is that a lot of stuff comes full circle to booster packs. Box topper over Make It Blind over contains alts of cards in set over randomize it. Oh, we made a booster pack promo card over one of number of cards over randomly in the pack. Hope we made a booster pack. Alright, that was pretty hard to read there, but I like box toppers, so I'm not sure exactly what that means, but... Okay, TMX, what's better than a booster pack? A booster pack inside a booster pack. More genius from TMX. Hurlocker says, Pokemon did it first. There are actually several giant booster packs in Japan that contain the mixed contents like regular booster packs. I don't think the larger one is technically blind context, but still humorous. Alright, and then Hurlocker says, 1 minute left. Call out someone you appreciate and tell them why you're glad they're in your community this week. Maybe this has to do with the content creators being reached out to and being able to spoil things. I saw TMX and DPD get to spoil some Metazoo Torrential Tide cards, so that was rad. And congratulations to them, they definitely deserve it. A lot more deserving content creators out there in the Metazoo space, so I hope to see more of you getting to spoil some of the cards for Torrential Tide. It's a lot of fun. We have everybody shouting people out, being super kind and here to each other. Love to see it. MGR says, okay, I'm off, gang. Thanks again for letting me sit in. And looks like that might be it. So it looks like we are pretty much ended, let's see, with MGR's response right about 5 p.m. my time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, about another hour of Metazoo Monday. I think these are pretty productive. I do like seeing them. We actually finished this one a little bit quicker. So I'm sure as new sets, new products come out, new lore drops, new spoilers, whatever it is, we're going to be seeing a lot more in the future to talk about. Right now, I guess it's kind of, we're waiting on the next thing. But as always, I hope this helped you out. Hope it saved you a little bit of time. Hope you enjoyed Metazoo Monday number 3. So I appreciate you guys. And this has been Escaped Alien. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.